Hey guys, today I'm going to tell you the top 5 reasons why you didn't like Hereditary and why you're wrong. A little bit of backstory on why I'm making this video. I had a good friend who I had told that Hereditary was a really good movie. He had a bunch of other friends that just watched the movie and he told me that they all thought it sucked and asked me what was going on. And I got triggered. It's okay to not like a movie. You can not like The Godfather. That's fine. You are wrong. I would want to know what your reasons are. Regarding Hereditary, I didn't even like the movie that much. It was too much, and I'm kind of a bitch, so it just really scarred me. But I would never say it sucked. I could tell that it was so well made. As a viewer, I can think back on the film, and I know it's not a conventional horror movie because it's a lot better than a conventional horror movie. I went online, and this movie actually got a cinema score of a D+. So all the critics are saying this is an amazing movie, and a lot of the film goers say that this is a terrible movie. Why is there such a big discrepancy? And we're going to talk about that today. So again, these are the 5 reasons why I think audiences thought it sucked and why they're wrong. Number 1, the pacing. All of A24's horror movies have had this problem. It Comes at Night, The Witch, including this movie, they are all really well reviewed, but a lot of the audiences don't like it because they think it's too slow or it's not what they expect. And this is the same issue. This movie starts off super slowly. It's like a really slow tracking shot. We're at a funeral. Not much happens. We're not given that much information. A lot of horror movies start us out with a bang. So with this movie, you're unsure where we are. And that's what this movie is about. It's giving you the unexpected. And what this film does really well is that it builds. If you can just take a moment to appreciate how all these shots are composed, it's very well done. And our rapidly decaying attention spans, that's on us, that's on society. While it starts off slow, it ends in a super amazing, fast, adrenaline-filled bang, and it slowly, gradually moves up to that point. So I don't really think the pacing is that big of an issue. Number 2, the twist was super fucked up. This is the point that I might agree the most with, and when I'm talking about the twist, spoiler alert, I refer to the earlier end of Act 1 scene where the daughter loses her head. That caught me out of nowhere, really fucked up. I agree, that might be why you liked it, but it's a death scene with so much meaning, and that's rarely what happens in normal horror movies. In a lot of horror movies, you get all these crazy deaths, and the way the death happens has zero meaning. But the daughter losing her head is the reoccurring theme in this whole movie. It's about people inhabiting other people's bodies. That was also foreshadowed in the bird getting the head cut off. It's about death and rebirth, and everybody loses his head at one point or another. So it's not just a gimmick. They actually chose it specifically, and it's done with so much care that you rarely see in horror movies. Tonally, this movie was pretty weird. It's kind of a really serious drama for a lot of it, which you don't really get in other horror movies. You don't get such a solid, fleshed out drama movie. And there's also these weird moments of comedy that kind of break the tension. And speaking of tension, nothing really breaks the tension. The way this movie unfolds though, it's very serious themes balanced with these strange moments that just feel off. It's actually really, really hard to balance, and I would argue that they did it perfectly well because what happens in this movie is so fucked up, the death of a kid in that way, that you need that kind of strange tone to make this world believable because we don't really know about the world outside of this family, but in this family itself, it is weird, it is strange, and it makes sense. And again, I think everything ties together really well, especially based on what happens later. So this weirdness is setting you up for the weirdness that happens later. Now we're at point number 4, and I think this is a big one of why audiences might not have liked this movie. It's because it lacks jump scares. This is something I empathize with. If you go on a roller coaster, you want to have rises and drops. If you watch a horror movie, a lot of people want to go for jump scares. And if that's what you wanted, yes, this isn't the movie where you're gonna get it. But this movie, again, is better than your typical roller coaster. It does something that rarely any movie of any genre can do, and that's continuously build tension. This director was so good at continuously building tension and showing us super scary moments without ever having anybody jump out. Most of the horror was in the relationships. It was in the corners of the screen. And that is such a novel experience. If I love horror movies, I don't want them all to be the same. I want to see new ideas. I want to see great shot compositions and these novel feelings, even if they are very, very uncomfortable. And finally, the last reason why you hated this movie was the ending. We have that last scene of the mother just floating up into the birdhouse and me just talking about it. It's hilarious and it's fucked up and it's so weird. That's never something you usually see in a movie. And he's in that room and there's all the headless people and your first reaction is just, what the fuck? In any other horror movie, there'd be that last kill or that idea that, oh shit, you know, we haven't defeated the monster yet. But in this one, it has meaning if you think hard enough. In this film, you have to use your brain. My brain was turned off because my balls were shrunken into my chest, so I had to kind of deload and think about it. But once I thought about it, that was the best possible ending. Everything that happened up until that moment, those last 15 minutes were so intense. They were just unbearable for most people. I think that kind of weirdness was the perfect type of scene to relieve you of your tension. It's still creepy, but it's what we needed at the time. And again, it's not just creepy, it actually had meaning. It was the complete closure of the whole story of the son being taken over by the daughter, of everybody praying. This movie was about the grandmother sinking her claws into the children, favoring the little girl, and the little girl ultimately takes over the body of the brother. And that's so strange, but that last scene highlighted it perfectly. The strangeness that this film started out with was complete by the end, and we have a complete circle. Everything makes sense in the context of this world, and I don't think a classic ending would have worked. That's all I got. It's okay to not like a movie, but before you make the leap to say something is objectively bad or that it sucks, I think you should take a second to think more critically or objectively about the goal of the movie, how it was constructed, whether the story made sense or not. And these are a lot of factors that oftentimes have pretty objective answers. I honestly think this director is going to be one of the most talented directors of all time. So even if you didn't like this movie, I would say this is a movie worth watching again, worth studying. He's definitely an auteur, and I will definitely at least read the Wikipedias of all of his movies to come because they're pretty scary. Thank you all so much for watching. Tell me why I'm wrong, tell me why I'm right. Thank you, and I'll see you all next time. Is there a film you love that critics hated, or is there a film you hated but critics loved? Let me know.